welcome someone here that, to me, I certainly consider to be one of the true pioneers of Italian wine, especially wines of Campania, wines of the South. And, we hear a lot of stories, and a lot of wines and wineries are built on stories. Winemakers know this. And so a lot of times you'll buy into that story, you'll buy the wine. But in this case, the story is completely legit. And the man who's creating these wines really put his region on the map. And so today I am welcoming Bruno di Conciliis of di Conciliis, as well as a number of other projects. Bruno, welcome to Vinous Live. I'm really happy to have you here.
Buonasera, Eric. Ciao.
So I'm sure everybody has, I don't know if you can hear a little bit of the music we have playing in the background here. Bruno is definitely a music lover, and we're gonna talk about some of the significance of that, because there's actually a lot of significance, especially with the Coltrane song that we were just listening to. Bruno, for me, being introduced to your wines goes back over a decade ago, when I was really first starting to learn about Italian wine. And at that time, I spent a lot of time shopping at a specific store that was 100% dedicated to Italian wine. And as they were helping me educate my palate, and I was being introduced to Campania, first they were introducing me obviously to Aglianico as of Taurasi. And then one day a bottle gets put into my hand, and I'm just going to show a picture of this label as well on the screen. And it's a bottle of Namia. And it's explained to me that, okay, so you love Taurasi, but you got to let it sit in your cellar for like 20 years to get the perfect expression. Give this wine a try. This is something that we think is going to really wow you. And it certainly did completely wow me. It was a whole different expression of Aglianico. And going back to that Coltrane song we were listening to, the name of the wine actually comes from that song and your love of music. Which I was actually wondering. So from the winemaking perspective, this is the wine we're talking about, everybody. Did the wine earn the name, or did, as you created the wine, was the song in mind? You know what I mean?
Is the dream always comes before the truth, the reality. I had the name in my mind before I start to make it by itself. Actually, I printed the name of the wine on the first boxes, even if the wine was not already made. It's not complicated. It's going to take a while to do a full explanation of that. But beside the idea of Naima, there was the idea, there was the sound of the tenor from John Coltrane. I hope that the jazz lover knows that Coltrane used to started his career as a musician playing blues or soul music, and he introduced the honk. The dirty sound, the honk of the sound of the tenor into his music, and I think this was one of the reasons Miles loved to have Coltrane with him, because it was the perfect balance of his cool approach to life and music. The depth of the blues into what is almost impossible to pronounce. It was not even a note. Was literally the sound of animal. And what I was looking for at the starting of winemaking, what I was thinking, I want to keep something that can easily communicate the life by itself, something that is wild. Is always on the border, is to manage that. Making wine, who makes wine for everybody who will drink, not just for the specialists, not just for the sommelier, but for everybody.
Right.
But on the other side, I wanted to make something that was really unique and can move the soul of the people more than the palate and the nose. So my idea since the beginning was trying to use the wine to communicate to the soul, straight to the heart of the people, more than the knowledge or the showing, or the wine by itself.
Well, yeah, it's funny you say it, because for me, it's always about the full package. You know, it's if you have a winemaker that is truly passionate about what they're doing, then, you know, for me, it's looking at the label while I'm sipping. It's looking at the bottle. It's looking at the color. It's taking in the aromas, but then also to be able to then say, put on a song that is like the song that's going through that winemaker's mind when they're they're assembling that vintage, or they're working in the field. I mean, I hear that, I've heard in the past you'll have music blasting in the winery itself, in the aging rooms. Is that true?
This is what a good wine makes. It keeps your hand, and works with you in the vineyard, not only in the vineyard, but in the landscape, in the culture of a country, and gives you a real trip and a real knowledge. Absolutely. Of something that can be far from your culture, from the place you're living. And this is great, no? When you are in a cold winter, and it's raining or snowing outside and it's cold, and you open a bottle of Mediterranean wine and just warm up your day, and makes you smile, gives you an attitude of relax and enjoying the life. That is what we try to do.
Well, I'm glad you actually mentioned Mediterranean, because one of the things I definitely want to talk about for everybody that's watching is the differences of your location compared to, say Taurasi or Avellino. The wines that you specialize in. What makes your location deep in the south, Salento area, what makes it so different from these other parts of Campania where these varieties thrive?
Clearly, Cilento was the only part where wine is made in Campania. You can see from the back.
Yeah, in the yellow, everybody.
Yeah, you can. That was under the sea at the time of the big volcanic eruption. So all our soil is made with sedimentary stones, and is mostly sand. It's very interesting that the sand that we have here is Numidian. There is a long mine of sand that from Sahara under the Mediterranean comes up in Cilento here, and we have this yellow sand that is full of expression and in terms of winemaking, while Taurasi area and Avellino area is inland. Even if it's not far, it maybe is 50, 60 kilometers from the sea, is also surrounded by mountain and has volcanic soil. So the expression of the same grape, even being very close, from my home place to Taurasi is as the crow fly is maybe 50, 60 kilometers. But the expression of the grape and the soil and the terroir and the temperature is completely different. And plus, we have the huge influence from the sea. The sea breeze that daily flow into the vineyard carry the characteristic of Mediterranean.
It's interesting, and one of the pictures that you had actually sent me is a great example of just how close these vines are to the sea. And it's amazing to think too, because we're literally talking about Taurasi. We have the mountain range that goes through the center of Campania. You're literally in such a different location versus. So, this vineyard right here, I'm not even sure which of your wines are which of these vines are going into which of your wines.
This is Giovedì vineyard, and is the distance from the seafront, from the sea, is less than 50 meters. Is right on the sea. Amazing. And is on the top of the hill, so it's 150 meters high, but it's right on the sea. And it's a beautiful sea. Actually, the soil here is pretty interesting. This is an island in Cilento, the area of Aceroli. And here, the sand becomes more schistoso, more schist. And the pH of the soil is a tremendous lower than usual. So the soil here, the influence of the soil here with the Aglianico, here we were harvesting some Aglianico, is amazing, and the brightness that carries is great. What is really interesting for me is that I'm using mainly two grapes that are Aglianico and Fiano, that were selected because they are very generous for many things, but mostly the acidity. One of the key when you approach an Aglianico is the acidity, and the acidity of the Aglianico when you go so close to the sea, and when you have this structure of limestone and sand, carry an incredible expression. And because it becomes more gentle on one side, but without being overpowered. I never spend too much energy trying to control the power of the wine, because what some winemaker or some people that wants to balance wine may be scared making wine with 17% by alcohol. But what happened is that the Aglianico, even on seaside, with 17% by alcohol, has enough acidity and has enough saltness to balance the mouth and to put all together and to be is hard to say, but if you taste the Aglianico from the coastal area, you will understand. This wine is gentle.
Right, absolutely.
Is a gentle giant.
It's funny. It's when someone hears something like 17%, and this is, everybody, this is not every vintage that we're hitting 17%, but certainly some of the warmer vintages, this is a Mediterranean climate, that can certainly happen. But it is absolutely amazing. You taste a wine, let's just say, you mentioned the New World, and, yes, there are plenty of wines that, may say 15.5 on the label, but they're hitting 17% in the New World as well. They are nowhere near as elegant and as lifted as what we'll find, or as balanced as what we'll find from many of the wines in your range. And when we talk about Aglianico and how it can age so well from certain regions, your wines age incredibly well as well. I mean, my introduction bottle for me was the 2004 vintage from you, and I think I actually finished the last bottle probably about 2 years ago. I bought a case, and every single time I tried that wine, it was getting better and better and better. And it was one of those moments when that last bottle was finally spent that I was so sad.
You're a smart guy. 2004 is my beloved harvest ever. I love the 04. 04 was for us was the really carried the higher expression, mostly either with the Aglianico and Fiano. And but I will tell you what is really, because is understandable that in such balanced and cold harvest the wine can age well. But what is really interesting in terms of curiosity and in terms of wine lover is that even the warmer harvest can age well. The 2003, everybody remember that was the crazy harvest with the Scirocco, the wind from south that drought everything and warm up and was very hard to manage, and was one of the harvests with a very high alcohol. But the 2003 is aging great, and even my first harvest of Naima was 97, and I tell you, I don't have so many bottles left of the 97, but every time I open one, I think, oh my God, this one can stay there for 10 years more, and will give for in 10 years will be better and better, because the one is still on the fruit,
right?
And 97 was a warm harvest too, so this is not hard to say. The key is growing balanced vines. When the vine are balanced, then the grape is going to be balanced and has the potential of aging, not overcrop, do not produce too much. So don't be greedy with the money, but being generous with the grape and with the life, and then processing only the best grape. Wine never lie, never. So if you make a wine with the very best grape, it will give you back all the energy and all the attention and dedication you gave to you and to your customer. We must be faithful to our customer and
Well,
to our grape.
and certainly looking back at your history, I mean, it's actually a pretty amazing coming of age with you making wine and such. I was wondering if maybe kind of go into a little bit about how you found your way to winemaking. I mean, I know your family they were involved in vine growing, that they were selling to cooperatives, but what brought you to winemaking? If you can give us a little bit also background of the area of Cilento and how what it was then and how it's come along to today.
When I start thinking making wine was 93, and there was only this cooperative, and the wine was impossible to drink. Was mostly labeled for the tourists that were coming here and they want to take a souvenir from Cilento, but absolutely not to drink. There was no attention to quality. There was no vision of the winemaking. On the other side, there were many farmers that were making good wine for themselves. And I was graduated as sommelier in late 80s, in 1989. So I started to drink wine, and it was disappointing that there was not a good wine that was representing Cilento. There was nothing, zero, nothing. So
How far back is this going again? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
At what point was this? What you mentioned 93 when you got interested. At what point were you saying there weren't really any fine wines being made in the region?
No, in the region, but it was Mastro Berardino, and there was other smaller producer there. But in Cilento was nothing. So I decided to challenge myself in making. We had the vineyard. My father was growing vine, and I quit my previous job. I put all my money, and I asked my brother, my sister, and my father to let's try to make it. Just give the grape that we grow in Cilento the chance to express something that is not already expressed. And maybe if we don't give, it will never happen, because if nobody starts, and I had the thanks. There was 2 years before, Silvia Imperato from Montevetrano made their first Montevetrano. So, and this was the first great wine made in Salerno, in my province. So I thought, if she made it, I can try. At least I want to give a chance, the grape. And so we worked hard for 3 years just to set up the vineyard, the winery, and to change a few things in the vineyard to understand how to make it better. Because growing grape for the co-op, the main goal of my father was making big quantity, to make more money, or maybe making more higher alcohol, because the wine was used to blend with lower alcohol from wherever else, North Italy or wherever. So it took 3 years to start, and then we decided, okay, the first harvest was 96, and we only made the whites, because the main consumption in my area is white wine, because we're on the coastal area, so we have most of the restaurants they use with the fish. And then in 97, for the first time, we started with the Ianico, and we made the Naima and Bacio il Cielo and Donna Luna, the 3 wine the same year.
Ah, the Donna Luna, right. So Donna Luna, Aglianico, I have the Donna Luna Fiano here as well. And that's also inspired by another jazz piece, right?
Yeah, it's Donna Lee, it's Miles.
Yeah, Miles.
I would be able to sing it, but I can't. It's a very fast song. Donna Luna is yeah. Ianico. Yeah. No, no, I cannot sing.
And then the Fiano. And I have to tell you, being a big fan of the bigger wines, tasting the Donna Luna Aglianico was, I mean, this is the 17. This is a stunning bottle of wine. I mean, I had tasted it, maybe one glass. I came back with the next day. It was still just as good, if not even better. So bravo to you. Absolutely.
Is the philosophy of winemaking, wherever I make it, even when I do as consulting, I ask even my customer to be faithful to the grape and to be faithful to the customer. The wine, again, wine does not lie. So if you do well with conscience, then the wine will show. And doesn't matter if you sell a wine for $40 or $200. The wine is to satisfy and is to tell a story to the customer. So there is no difference. The grape are different. It comes from younger vines, or maybe with a less. Some here, even the better vineyard, you have I don't know, too much heat or too much water, so you cannot use for the best wine. But still, the wine has to be good and has to communicate something. Wine is a book to read, to drink.
So the Niema, is that a selection from within the Aglianico vineyards? Is it its own individual parcel? What justifies the two different wines?
Naima comes from 5 different vineyards, and each vineyard carries his own personality to the wine. Each vineyard is vinified by his own and aged for the first year by his own. And after the first year of aging in second, third end barrel, I do the blend, and it may happen for instance, 2004, that was a great harvest. We made, I think, something like 17,000 bottles of Naima, while in 2003, the year before, we made maybe 3,000, 4,000. Yeah. So simply, when the juice, when the wine does not express the best, we don't make it. And with the Naima, we could do that because it comes from different vineyards. So I can decide to use one or another one because it's a blend of different. For other wine, such as Zero, for example, that comes by a single vineyard, I have to decide if to make it or not. So what happened with the Zero is that if I don't have the grape, then I don't make the wine. I skip the harvest. This is to me, this is to be faithful to the grape and the customer.
Right. So the Zero that came along, what was it, 2006 or?
The first harvest was 97. The Zero comes. The first Zero comes the same vintage of Naima, and was made by this single vineyard. This at the time was 50-year-old, and I was impressed by the tasting, by the drinking. I don't taste, I drink. By the drinking of Montepulciano d'Abruzzo Valentini in 1980, and this wine was huge, was stunning. I would say stunning, was unbelievable, and I thought this wine makes no prisoner, and I thought I want to make a wine that makes no prisoner. That you can say you like it or not, but you cannot be cool about and say, you can say, I don't know it. You must love it or hate it, nothing in the middle. This is what I mean when I say it makes no prisoner. And
since the beginning, though, you've always been you've definitely one of the pioneers of organic and biodynamic in your region, correct? I mean, that's been something you've started with since the very beginning.
But this was very easy, Eric, because this is my culture, my philosophy. This is the way I live. So out of any other consideration, the first very simple thing is not to is not to kill nobody, and is to respect the life, no?
Right.
And so if I think that something can be poisoning the earth, the soil, and the vineyard, and myself, because I drink the wine, and the customer, I will not use it. So since the beginning, even when we were still using some more chemical things, we were using with a very careful, without, and we never used any herbicides. So thanks God, my father was very strong in that. We never used. No one of my vineyard has ever seen an herbicide. So the richness of the soil and the richness of the wild greens that grow is amazing, and this gives life and complexity and balance to the soil. First the soil, then the vine, then the grape, then the wine. Is everything is connected. Everything is connected.
And this is a very fertile region as well. I mean, there's a lot of you grow a lot of fruits and vegetables in Cilento as well, correct?
Yeah, Cilento is a very unique place in the world. Uh, is a kind of island, even being connected to the continent, because it's surrounded on the on the east and south is surrounded by mountain. And north is there was a swamp of pestum. So the best way, even until the early 90s, the best way to get in Cilento was by boat.
Mm.
From Salerno, they come on the coastal by boat. And so there is a lot of biodiversity that is preserved here. There is a lot also, there is out of, you know that the Mediterranean diet was discovered here
I wasn't
in
aware.
Acciaroli. In Acciaroli, yeah. Was discovered here, so was studied here, how to blend the food to make the Mediterranean diet. But even the people that is here, being insulated, is genetically unique, is very concentrated, and I hope it will be even in the future. But we have a lot of more than 100-year-old people in Cilento, because the lifestyle and the culture and the food is healthy. There is no the environment is there is no industry, there is no pollution. In an area as big as Valle d'Aosta, we are less than 200,000 citizens. I don't know, less than in a building in Manhattan, I think. So it's a healthy place, and there is a lot of culture. There is a lot of biodiversity and unicity here in Cilento. It's a very unique place, and thanks God is still far from the big waves of touristic. We have pioneer touristic that still can enjoy the place, because it's a silent and is nice. It's relaxing.
Sounds like I'm gonna have to find a way to visit there. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll all be visiting wine regions again in the near future. Looking forward to it, definitely. So I had also heard that you're also very much against clonal selection, which everybody seems to be moving in the direction of clonal selection, but you're not a big fan. Is that correct?
I think that the wine is culture,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that all the story with clonal selection is reduce everything into numbers. I don't mind it if a wine is sometimes when I make the wine, most of the time when I make the wine, until the wine is made, I don't do any analysis. I don't care. I taste the grape.
Right.
And I trust that the difference is what makes what makes your wine really unique, more than the asphyctic selection that can strangle you. Because what happened if, for instance, now, no, with all this global warming, with climate changing, all the people that has planted the Merlot or one of this new clone of Aglianico that comes out with a lower acidity and maybe more alcohol, what they will do?
Right.
The one will not be balanced. And I think that the old farmer, they had the knowledge, and this knowledge has to be respected. If we clean up everything, if we start by a blank page, or then it's going to be easy. Looks that it's going to be easy because you can design your own project starting from nothing with no restriction, no. But we have restriction, and I love restriction. I will say this very quick. When I was a student in Bologna, we did a seminar on the Indian movies from Bollywood, and this was very interesting. At the time, I think it's still the same here now. They could not show any images of kisses among men and of kind of sexual thing, because was illegal. But most of the movie were about love, so they were able to represent the sensuality and the love without what was normal for us. And this made those movies amazing, because it was something that was they could not use, but so they were moving around and express the same thing with the different things, and this made them thinking and working and putting their effort to make it possible. And I think it's the same for us. If we make everything too easy, then it's going to be, first of all, it's going to be boring, and secondary, and the wine will be boring probably for me. And on the other side, it's going to be risky, because the difference gives you more possibility to get and to find a better expression by itself. So all of my vineyard, all the vineyard I made brand new, I made with a master selection from my old vineyards.
That was going to be my next question.
And this may happen, and this may happen that because in those old vineyards, they're supposed to be, for instance, Aglianico, you can find few plants, few vines of Sciascinoso or Piedirosso or whatever, and then happens. It's okay.
Right. Well, it's two very different sides of things right now, it seems, in the world of winemaking. You have those winemakers. I mean, if we want to look at the New World, you have these winemakers, and companies like Bedrock and Carlisle, where they're looking for these heritage vines, these old field blends that were planted by Italian immigrants over 150 years ago, and things like that. And there are people that love these wines. And you have all these winemakers that are working so hard to be as natural as possible. Obviously, you are a huge pioneer of that, especially in Italy. But then you have this other side of things where you'll hear, oh, well, the vine's going to produce its best fruit at 15 years old, at which point we get to start thinking about replanting, and we're going to be replanting using this clone now for this soil type. It is interesting to hear, and it's certainly amazing that I think consumers are really starting to wake up as well to a lot of the ideals of organic, biodynamic. The problem is that not every producer is really as passionate about it. In many cases, it's often marketing, which obviously isn't the case here, but it's definitely it's a huge topic right now in the world of wine, and it's amazing to think that you've been following this for as long as you have.
This is also a problem of the ego of the winemaker. We tend to be, as humankind, I think we tend to be too much. We tend to put ourselves to give too much importance to ourselves. We are tools. If I think myself as a tool of the world to make possible that the grapes turns into wine. Yeah. And what I do is working by keeping the idea and the suggestion by the grape, by the soil, by the culture of a place. I don't like to force. I don't like to. I like to follow more, and to follow on a way that the wine can express uh, beauty and pleasure to the people, because this beauty is important. We need to grow the beauty more than the grape.
Well, I feel like
Otherwise,
you and I can probably have this conversation for
yeah,
a very
sorry.
long time. It's, we're certainly speaking the same language, but I also want to make sure we have a little bit of time to start talking about some of your new projects, because, as exciting as I think the work that you've done is, it's also, there's a lot going on these days. One of the first things that I was introduced to just earlier this year when I was reviewing Campania is Tempa di Zo, or Tempa di Zoe.
Yep.
Which I was interested. Thought it was interesting to find out that the Zero is officially now part of the Tempa di Zoe project. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is.
But can you tell us a little bit about that project? What was the inspiration there, and how is it set apart from what you've done at Conciliis?
First of all, it's very small. I think we will never grow. I will never make it grow. I'm the boss. So small production. I think the total can be maximum 40,000 bottles with maybe 4 or 5 different wine. I want to put my hand in winemaking and wine. I have to be in touch with each single step. So I need to be small, and I need to be super focused on each wine, because with the Tempa di Zoe, as Zero used to be my workshop for understanding. Was my first workshop for biodynamic growing, for instance. I turned into biodynamic with the Vineyard of Zero in 2004 completely. So I quit using everything. I dropped dramatically the use of copper and all the things that I'm now doing regularly on this vineyard. And on the other side, the goal is making with each of the single grape. I'm trying to define again in a more accurate way the individuality of Cilento as a wine region. And mostly the Fiano, for instance, the Asterias, is my workshop to try to set a benchmark of Mediterranean way of processing the white wine. So enhancing the saltiness and sapidity more than the acidity by itself, and keeping the generosity. And what I don't like in wine is whether they are not enough clean about the place where they grow. Sometimes you drink a Sauvignon made wherever in Sicily or Lebanon, and they're beautiful Sauvignon, but they don't say nothing about Lebanon.
Right.
And so I am trying to make this wine that really give the sense of the Mediterranean way of life. And this is for either for the Aglianico, generosity, drinkability, souplesse, and super clean, super classic. The idea is making classic wine.
Well, how does this differ from your other Fiano?
Yeah, it's different because in this small project I have more free hand to express this workshop, because it's very small, and I can be on the tank that I'm fermenting daily and just focus on that. And so I can understand, because this is the way I make the wine is, as I said, it comes by the grape and by the daily dedication and application for understanding. For me, making wine is a process of understanding more than making.
Well, I can tell you that when tasting through this range, it was. I mean, I always, I'm a wine geek, right? I mean, it's my love and hobby. So I'm always reading tech sheets, but I found your technical sheets to be. So I must have read them over and over again. It was like reading a comic book as a kid, going through the different ways that you were making some of these wines. And a good example would be was it the Latte Scuro or Latte Scuro?
Yeah.
And is that a Tempe de Zoe wine, or is that?
No, I made the Conciliis, but this was a project with Dino Tantawi, with my importer in Dino. With Dino, we are friends since '99, and his family. He came here in Cilento for his holiday with the family. The kids, they are no longer kids, but when they were, but still they grow up with my kids, and Alessandra spent sometimes the summer with his daughter spent the summer with me. She made the harvest with me, so we are very close. We're very good friends out of the business, and so just it comes by a kind of joke, because we were talking about Luigi Veronelli wrote that Aglianico is Barolo from South, but most of the Aglianico has not at all the characteristic of Barolo, because the acidity is different, the tannins are different, the color. The Aglianico is super generous with the color. So by joking, he said, "Okay, Dino, let's try to make the Barolo, the real Barolo from South, and we will make by Aglianico." So my idea was to add in the fermentation the 20% of skin of Fiano. I'm sorry, I need some wine.
And for everybody that doesn't know, Latoscuro is Dark Side, and I'm assuming that is inspired by Pink Floyd. Is that
Pink Floyd? Clearly. Yeah. Because
please go on, though. Go on.
There is not only jazz in our life. Come on.
Well, hey,
we are rock and roll people.
Devoted Pink Floyd fan here, that's for sure.
Yeah. But also Dark Side is the dark side of Aglianico. Was the other side, the side that probably not everybody can go to see. If you don't go up to the moon, you will never see the dark side. So, and this was very interesting, and we went through the project for a long time. And I think the wine wine is a game, is a serious game. You must play it very serious, but you must keep. I keep the joy of the kid with a toy when I make wine. So it has to be joyful. Making and drinking and sharing is a joy. Wine is a joy. So, and Latoscuro was for me, for us, even for Dino, was a beautiful game to play.
We're going to talk. Can you tell me a little bit, because I'm sorry you got interrupted when you had mentioned you were 20% Fiano. You were fermenting on Fiano skin.
Yeah. I co-fermented after the first week of fermentation. Also, Latoscuro is fermented with the spontaneous yeast. I quit using the yeast in my winery in 2000, I think, at all. So I'm no longer using. So the spontaneous yeast fermentation needs 3-4 days according to the harvest to start. So after 7 days, so let's say 3 days of real fermentation, I add this 20% of skin of Fiano. And what is interesting, because the skin of Fiano add something to the wine in terms of phenolic and the tannins, but on the other side absorb a part of the color. So the color of the wine is lighter, and also absorb some of the aggressive tannins and substitute with round tannins. And the flavor and of the wine becomes more floral. And is interesting. In some of the experiments I did at the beginning, if you taste the wine in a dark glass, you would say, just the smell, you would say it's a white one, because the peach was really full
expression. It's exotic on the nose. It's definitely Aglianico, but no, it's a beautiful wine. Absolutely, it was stunning. Yeah. I had no idea you were trying to create the Barolo of the South, though. That's actually really interesting.
No, this was a joke, the Barolo of South, but yeah, again, it was joyful to make it, and it's joyful to drink it.
So now, other projects here, Vigneti Tardis.
Yep.
This is very new now. I was only just introduced to this in conversations with you over the last few weeks. Can you tell us a little bit about Vigneti Tardis? I'm going to put a picture. I mean, I have some of these bottles here. I'm actually sipping the Mercoledì,
Mercoledì,
today,
yeah.
which is pretty awesome. Looking forward to finishing that bottle with dinner tonight. That's for sure. But if you give us a little bit of a background on this project, how this started, and what people can expect from these wines. I mean, you know, first and foremost, everybody, even though that doesn't say on the front label, the actual varietals are on the back. So, you know, don't worry. That's always something I can tell you in the United States, when winemakers don't put the varieties on the actual labels, it confuses us. It really does. But it's on the back, so that's all good. But please let us know. Tell us about this. This is very cool.
Again, everything, most of all these wine are thought with thinking the drinkability, I don't want to try to make easy what is complex, but I don't want to make I don't want over complex what can be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a wine made after organic growth and made without using any biotechnology to make it can also be clean and approachable to everybody. What I don't like is at all is the aristocratic and esoteric approach of somebody that makes wine for few. I think wine is to be. We have to build up a highway to bring people to the wine, to the good wine, and to the healthy wine.
Yeah.
I think if we are too much as a winemaker and as a wine industry, if we are too much focused into the ideology of competing, how less sulfite we add to the wine, or using the amphora, or using the concrete, or using, those are tools.
Mm-hmm.
Those are tools, and the goal is making enjoyable wine for the people. This is my only credo. This is my only ideology in winemaking is making healthful. No, so first, don't poison. This is the law. First, don't poison. So making things that are clean and polite, and then making everybody enjoy drinking a glass of wine and sharing. And third, allow them to make a trip to the region that grew this grape and make the grape. And so this is again the story behind this wine. Jack Lewins, that is my partner here, and he's a sommelier. He owns a Michelin star restaurant in London. We know each other since 99. He was pushing. He was how to say, asking me, making something with him with this philosophy. And the concept of the wine is to build up a time machine. So that's why we used the name of the day of the week, but also to connect or to explain in a very quick and easy way the personality of the wine. Because for instance, lunedì is the Monday, but it's also the day of the moon, so it's a lunatic, and this wine is really lunatic.
Yeah.
And martedì is Mars, and is the god of war, and so this wine has a lot of energy and so on. Mercurio, no, and is also it carry the news, but this wine has brings to everybody the Cilento, no, is a carrier, and the Venerdì is Venus, is the beauty by itself. And the inspiration of the planet was behind the design and the concept of the wine. So the wine were inspired by the planet or the mood or the personality that they had to communicate. And still, this is, I think I will never learn enough. I will never finish to explore the unbelievable world of winemaking, because they're still mostly Fiano and Aglianico, but all this wine, they have a different personality by itself. It comes by the grape, it comes by the vineyard, but also comes by the approach we made. And Jack is very helpful with that, because we talk a lot about, for instance, before the Lunedì, I never made a Rosato. Actually, for me, it was even difficult to think how to make a Rosato. But the Rosato with if there's a wine that I'm really proud of, maybe because it was not in my idea, was not in my mind at the beginning, is the Rosato, is the Lunedì. This wine is unbelievable for the structure. Well, and I'm so proud that I make it. Right?
The descriptions that you sent me were inspirational. As you might actually want to consider putting the descriptions you sent me on your labels somewhere as well. I gotta tell you, I'm really looking forward to the release of the Giovedì. That sounds pretty incredible. But also I'm looking forward to tasting the Sabato from just what you wrote alone. Do you mind if I read what you wrote here?
Sorry?
Do you mind if I read this out really quick, what you wrote here?
No, you can.
Sabato is a crazy, jolly joker that we make under the inspiration of the vintage, and when we are not inspired, we don't make it. I mean, I love that. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. No, it's great. And, you sit here and you explain these wines as being, accessible and, something that people can enjoy. But there's still, I mean, I having not tasted through these yet, knowing you and knowing the value that's been represented in just about every label that you have represented, I can imagine that there's some pretty serious wine in these bottles, even though you're saying that they are accessible and such. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Accessible. Being accessible or being for everybody does not mean that they will be stupid.
Right.
They're not. They are deep wine, but they are accessible.
Right.
This is actually, I think if I have to say into word, which is the job of winemaker, this is the job of winemaker, is making accessible what is also complex, is giving the joy to wine lover as you and super sommelier and people that love to make the pairing and knowing new things, and at the same time the simpler worker of I don't know, an office in Manhattan. They have to both of you, they have to be joy, they have to get joy by the wine, and this is our effort. This is what we have to do as a winemaker. We must give this more than anything else.
Right. Well, I mean, just the name TARDIS alone. Yeah. I mean, most people are going to probably think Doctor Who, right?
Yeah, they're right.
Absolutely. But I mean, a TARDIS is, a space that's infinite on the inside that appears so much smaller on the outside.
But
great play.
How beautiful and how universal in the mind, in the dream of everybody is this picture, no?
Yeah,
each kid or even a teenager or even a 60-year-old man like me, he can understand how the beauty of a space that is infinite inside and this square outside with a border, no? The essence of the border inside and the presence of the border outside is beautiful. It's great.
And you, right before we started this conversation, you were talking a little bit about another new project that I figured if you wanted to tell us a little bit about. I mean, there's so much going on here, but it's so all worth checking out. But you had said something about, what was it, Invita?
Invita is this is I would say it's the dream of my life, but my life is full of dreams. So it's one of the biggest dreams of my life. Cilento is a very unique place for wine growing, and is mostly on the coastal area. and to me is the best place where to experiment making a Mediterranean white wine with a very individual personality. We have, but Cilento is also rich. Everybody thinking to Cilento, everybody is focused on the coastal area, but we have beautiful mountains in the national park. And one of these mountain that is 1100 meter, so 1,100 meter high. I found out a fantastic place for a vineyard. We fight with my partner. We fight a lot to have the authorization to plant a vineyard there, because it's the most restricted area of the national park. So it's an area where even if you move a stone from here of 1 meter, you must ask permission, because the wildlife is very highly protected. But at the same time, was a fantastic place for a vineyard. It's 900 meters on sea level. It's a beautiful sandy soil with a lot of calcaire. So and we have some zone with a schist. So we have in the same small place, a small area, we have 3 different terroirs with a unique, fantastic expression. And I planted the Fiano there back in 2009. We were not lucky because we had a big hailstorm that destroyed in June everything, and it took 3 years to recover the vineyard. Then we had probably struggle with the wild boar, but thanks God and thanks of our tenacia, I don't know how to say tenacia in English, tenax, no? We have the grape this year. We're gonna harvest this year. We're gonna make Invita, the name of the wine means invincible. And the grape and the vine is invincible, but we are invincible too. We're gonna make a great Fiano from there. I'm sure it's gonna be this 2020 for me. The mark of the year of the harvest will be the Fiano from there.
That sounds really exciting. I mean, it's funny because from my perspective, before really being able to taste through the full range, I always thought about, when I thought about your production, I thought more about Aglianico, and I really just got introduced to Fiano Cilento, sorry, through you in only the recent past. One question I had about with the differences of terroir going back a little bit with Fiano is, will they mature as well in the cellar as, say, a Fiano from Avellino? I mean, are we looking at more, are the Fianos from your area a little bit more, are they for more younger consumption? You know, are we talking about wines that last for decades, or is it not really?
I think this was when I made the sommelier, when I learned to taste wine as a sommelier. Clearly, the low pH and the acidity of the wine were one of the key for the long aging. The second key clearly is the high sulfite contents, unfortunately. So unfortunately, to age proper 20, 30, 40 years, a great wine needs, it seems, we're not sure about it, a very high quantity of free sulfite at the bottom, because this is the safer way, the easier way to make it. So the challenge is double on one side, because the winemaker in Campania, in Cilento, that make wine using a lot of sulfite, they can easily age their wine, even if they are more bold and more round and more approachable, younger. The real challenge is making a long time aging wine without over sulfiting. So my first solution was the orange wine. And with the Antece, I demonstrated that the Antece 2004 now is one of the most amazing, if you can find out a bottle, is one of the most amazing orange wine you can find on the market. Still is beautiful. So orange is one of the answer. But the second answer is the integrity of the grape and the integrity of the winemaking approach. So with this, my new challenge, my new high challenge is making not orange wine from south area, from warm area that can age well with a very low sulfite content. It's a challenge.
I'm sure. And I'm really sorry, Bruno, but we are out of time. But this has been fantastic. I've learned so much having this conversation with you, and I really look forward to future conversations between the two of us because you're a wealth of knowledge, and it's certainly great to talk to you about these wines and see the man behind them. So everyone, thank you for joining us. Again, if you do not know the wines of Bruno di Conciliis, then you certainly need to seek them out. I know we talked about a lot of different things here today, but I can pretty much assure you it's all worth looking for. Bruno, ciao. Thank you.
Ciao, grazie Eric.
And
Grazie
we
a
will
tutti.
see each other again soon.
Hope to see you soon, and we will toast the glass.